I'm stood up. I'm stood up. I'm stood up and I'm facing the camera. I've got, I have got some notes on a phone here, but I did write a script, and I wrote a full script, and I read it out on camera. And it turns out I'm not very good at that. Turns out I may not be very good at this whole talking to a camera thing. Full stop. I know I like when I'm outside, I've got the camera on a stick and it's away from me, and I'm just running. I'm just able to be in like a, I don't know, like a natural environment where I can just don't. There's no pressure for me. But it seems to be I stick a microphone in front of my face and a camera right in front of me. Things are a bit different. But I really wanted to get a video out today, and I might start looking at my notes every now and then just so I can remember what I want to talk about. But I want to do a video about January this year and what happened in January this year, because for me actually it turns out that what appears on the outside to be a fairly small challenge turned out into something quite big, and the impact that it's had on me has been quite significant. And I really want to talk about that. So on January the 1st, I went for a park run at Blythe Links Park Run, and I managed to get around in a 32 minutes, nice and easy. There was no times worried about that day. There was nearly 600 people on the start line, and everyone was just there kind of having a laugh. I mean, you imagine 600 people at Blythe Links Park Run. For those of you that have done it, as you're going down that the starting bit, you know, where it's dead straight. I don't even know what you call that, the starting bit. As you go down the start and then you turn left onto the dunes area, it's quite a narrow sort of gate. It's not a gateway, is it? But it's a narrow turn anyway, and everyone's got to filter through that bit. 600 people, so you were walking that bit. Nobody was going for times. Everyone was just going for a laugh. Honestly, it's probably one of the most fun events I've done so far, because everyone was just in a real high spirits. You know, yep, there was a lot of people with hangovers from New Year's. I may have had a little bit of a headache myself, but it really was just about the community and about getting out there. But what was significant about that is that was the first run of the challenge, and the challenge was to run every day for a month. And the rules were simple. There was only 2 of them. I had to run every day, and I had to run a minimum of 1 mile. What happened? How did I feel? How did I get on? And did I get to the end injury free? Because I think that was the most important bit. I was suddenly ramping up my running to every day. Even if it's only a mile, getting your body to adjust to going out every day, it's a bit of a step. So the truth is, first day nice and easy. The first couple of days, you know, they were okay, they were fine. I got to like day 4 or 5, and I was like, oof, I'm feeling a bit tired here. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to manage this. And the truth be told, I wanted to quit there and then. But I had told people about it, but I'm not going to put that pressure on myself. And I thought, should I just give up? And I was like, do you know what? Let's run one more day tomorrow, and we'll see how we feel. Then that week, at the end of the first week, was when we had our first social run. Again, one of the best runs to date, because that was just really nice, meeting new people. Just a small group of us down in Newcastle. I think we ran about 16 kilometres just over, and it was just really good fun. It passed time really quickly. We were out there a couple of hours, and I just really enjoyed it. And things started to tick from there. So as the month went through, I was getting up every day. I'd go for my runs. I'd do a minimum a mile. Most days were more than that. There were a couple of days where I was like, I'm feeling a little bit tired, let's just do the mile. And I did. Now, as the days turned into weeks, I really started to notice something happening to me that was kind of unexpected. It's something that I'd wanted to happen for probably a year. Everyone always talks about zone 2 running, and that's what I try to do, a lot of zone 2 running. I find that it works for me. I know some people will argue against it about doing speed work and things. Now, I will do speed work. I'll chuck in maybe 1 session a week where I'm doing, that could be all sorts. It could be an interval session, or it could be progression runs. I've been really enjoying my progression runs, so starting off slowly and gradually getting quicker and trying to finish at or quicker than my 5k pace. One of the issues I've had with zone 2 running is keeping my heart rate in that zone. It suddenly, quite often it would jump up and it would go above the zone 2 and into zone 3. Then I'd have to walk, bring my heart rate down to a suitable level, then I could start running again. But that all changed in January. I'm now at the point where I can go out running and my heart rate will stick bang in that zone 2. I'll just, even to the point where it's starting to take me a little bit while to get it into zone 2. It's staying in zone 1 at the same pace that I was running before. That's the thing. And actually, probably a little bit quicker than I was running before. So zone 2 used to mean something like 7:30, 8-minute kilometres to me, and now it's like around that 6:30 per kilometre. You know, that's I know that's not quick, but that difference that I'm seeing now in my heart zone just sticking into zone 2, I am so pleased about that. Like, I don't walk anymore when I'm on a zone 2 run. On a long run, I might have a little bit of a walk, but largely that's because I'm looking around me, enjoying the countryside. So when I go for a zone 2 run now, I can stick it in that zone, and I don't really have to even look at my watch. I do have the occasional glance down just to make sure that I'm staying in that zone. But if I'm really honest, 9 times out of 10, I find myself sometimes dropping down into zone 1. So I have to pick up the pace that little bit just to get it back into zone 2. I've been waiting for this. Honestly, I can't tell you how long I've been waiting for that to happen, and it's finally there. So when people say you've got to give it time to get used to being in zone 2 and getting your body to adjust to zone 2, and yes, do the run walk method. It works, it really does. Just got to give it a little bit of time. It took me just over a year. Maybe that's because I went through the injury and the illness and what have you, and it meant I wasn't training as much. But honestly, I would say just keep sticking with it. Trust the process. It's different horses for different courses. It might not take you half as long as it did me. It might take you a bit longer. But if zone 2 is what you really want to be about, then I would honestly say just stick to it. It almost felt like my body was saying, okay, I know what you want to do now. I understand what you're doing. And it adjusted. Now the other difference I've noticed is my weight. I obviously really addressed my diet a bit better at the beginning of January. I'll share that in a separate video coming soon, hopefully. But I really noticed my weight, and I noticed that sticking to this diet and training every day, the weight started to tick off again. It started to fall off, and we have been losing weight. So I think I've already shared in a video how much weight I lost during January, but I'll stick it up on the screen somewhere here. I'll decide when it's in the software, but I'll stick up on the screen so you can see how much I've lost so far. It's not like I'm losing tons and tons of weight, but it's coming off at a nice speed that is acceptable, and I should be happy about it, and I am happy about it. So we fast forward to the end of the month, and what did we see? How far did I run? And I'm going to have to look at my notes for this. But I think the first thing to notice is I didn't miss a single day. There were a few days where I did a mile. There were some days where I was sat in my living room at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, whatever it was, and I was like, ugh, I forgot to go for a run today. And at least twice I went out in a pair of jeans and just me normal kicking about shoes, and I ran a mile in my jeans just to get that mile in. And they were slow miles because I weren't going to injure myself, but they were slow miles, but I got the miles in just so that I'd run every day. At the end of the month though, I got 174 kilometers in, and that was with just over 20 hours of running through the month. So I'm actually quite pleased with that. 170 odd kilometers and 20 hours of running. I'm really quite pleased, is the truth. Now just to rewind slightly, there's something that happened, and it was actually on the 11th day. So we were January the 11th, and I'm minding my own business and put me run on Strava, and then I got a reply from Andy Maguire. Thanks, Andy. Andy Maguire stuck a comment on my Strava post on my run on the 11th, and stuck a bloody idea in my head that I didn't see coming. And that was, he said, you're going to wake up on the 1st of February and realise that you're only 19 days away from a 50-day running streak. I thought, no I won't. I'll wake up on the 1st of February and think, I'm looking forward to a rest day. One of us was wrong, and I've now continued to run every day since, and we're going for that 50-day run streak. And will we stop at 50 days? I have no idea right now. I'm not going to say yes, I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to say, let's see what happens and see how we feel. Because the truth is, I'm really, really, genuinely, weirdly enjoying committing myself to running every day. Now I do consider the 1 mile days that I've been putting in there, because there have been 1 mile days. I actually did one a couple of nights back. But I consider those 1 mile days to be rest days. They're normally quite slow miles, and my body doesn't even realise I've done it until I've done it. You know, it's kind of like that. And so I'm just going to continue on for now and see what happens. We're going to get to the 50 days, as long as I can remain injury free. And I've been really good about this. I think the injury-free thing has been a real thing in my mind, like constantly there, because it's just going to take one thing to go wrong. And if I feel, I haven't felt a strain, but in my mind I'm like, okay, if I feel a strain, no matter how small, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop, I'm going to turn around, I'm going to walk home. I'm not risking it. But I have not yet had a strain. But it's also really made me start thinking about my running technique and how I'm holding myself up and how's my foot hitting the floor. I do have quite a central, is it a midfoot impact when I'm running, and that's, from what I gather, that's the good thing to have. I don't know, but it's certainly, I do sometimes when I'm getting fast, I do pick up onto my toes. I'm trying not to do that as much because I'm worried about getting calf injuries again. And I really believe that was the cause of my calf injury when I was running on my toes. I'm just too heavy set to be trying to run on my toes for periods of time. And obviously I don't really want to become a heel striker. So I've got a good technique, and maintaining that and keeping my form how it's supposed to be. I think I'm doing quite a good job of it because, like I say, not a single niggle yet as we're going through February. And the last thing really is how it's making me feel. I'm feeling fitter today than I have done throughout this whole journey, is the truth. Even the build up to Endure 24, where I was feeling good and strong, I feel better today. I feel like this is setting me up in a really good way to start targeting Endure 24 and going for some nice big goals. Now I've got a new event. I don't know if I've spoken about this one already, but I've signed up to another event. So I've got the 5K coming up on the 17th of March, where I'm going to try and go sub 25. But the week after that, I'm actually doing an event in Ashington at the Community Woods where they've got a loop. I'm not even sure how big the loop is. I think it's somewhere between 4 or 5 miles. I might be way off there. But you get a 6-hour time cut off basically, and see how many times you want to run it in that 6 hours. You can do one lap or you can do as many as you want. It's a bit like Endure 24, but instead of 24 hours, it's just 6 hours. So I'm going to use that as a kind of a training run just to get me back in that mindset of doing loops and see how that feels as well. So that's coming up soon. No pressure for me to go any distance at all for that. I'm just going to run it on how I feel on the day. And if I only get, I don't know, 10 or 15 miles, then I'll be fine with that. But if I can stretch it out to a marathon or something, then that would be great as well. So for me, this has really highlighted that this isn't about running every day. I mean, it is about running every day, but it's been about consistency. And that consistency is where I'm really seeing the improvements. I'm getting quicker, I'm getting lighter, I'm getting more comfortable, my heart rate is handling it better. I just feel fitter all round. Do I recommend you run every day? Not if it's not what you want to do, no, but it's working for me right now. Is it something I'm going to do long term? No, that would be mad. But it's something I'm doing now while I'm seeing this progress. I'm going to let it continue, get to that 50 days and then readdress it. I'll probably stop at 50 days, have a couple of days off, then get straight into a proper training program where I'm running, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a week. That's probably a more sensible level to be at. But for now, we'll continue and we'll see what happens after 50 days, and I'll update you. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope you're having fun. Stick with it, and I'll catch up with you soon.